Right, so the next film you need to get out is Hellbound, Hellraiser 2. Again, just a few short clips, but they do show quite a bit. So, once you've got that loaded, the time code you need to put in for the first scene is 17 minutes 44 seconds. And basically, you'll see Dr. Chenard, played by Kenneth Cranham, walking in a garden basically, but towards the hospital. And that is the back of the admin building. So let me get to that myself. 17 minutes, sorry, and 44 seconds. So yes, if you want to skip back frame by frame just to sort of get to the very beginning of the clip, because obviously by the time you press pause, it's gone on quite a lot of frames. So if you, let's skip that over. Come on, one more frame. There we go. Okay, so yes, this is the back of the admin building. And if you look to the right of the screen, the building, you see the window and everything, and I think a couple of people sat outside on chairs. That is the clubhouse and restaurant, which is to the far left of what we saw in From Russia with Love, of the mansion. So if all these scenes were playing at once, to our right off screen at night time would be the From Russia with Love set. So yes, if you just play it on, it's only a few seconds basically where he walks up a path. I've walked through here myself, everywhere pretty much. As I said, I can go anywhere except inside the stages, so I've pretty much walked everywhere that you've seen so far. So if we then go skipping quite a lot to 1 hour, 1 hour and 17 and 31 seconds. Come on. Right, so once it cuts away from the girls walking up a corridor, this is just a wider angle shot of what we've just been looking at. And there you can see the sort of patio of the clubhouse restaurant on the right hand side under the big fir tree. And yeah, just some more of the grounds and the pathways that are the gardens of Pinewood Studios. And you know, these bushes have not been dressed specifically for this movie. They're always dressed like this. The park bench, I think, has probably been put there just for this particular movie. But yep, I've had a good old wander around there. And then if we go to 1 hour 33, I'm pretty sure that within this film, all the hospital, because obviously it was shot at Pinewood, so all the sets will be in the various stages. But I do wonder sometimes if some of the hospital wards and corridors are the corridors of, you know, a little bit like the ones we saw in My Week with Marilyn. I don't know if any of you out there worked on this and have come across this tour of Pinewood Studios thinking, what's all this about? You know, if you worked on these movies and you can elaborate any more, please do get in touch with me. And maybe I can have you on the channel and we can do a live stream or something and we can talk about these things in a little bit more depth. So right, time code 1 hour 33, very near the end of the film now, because basically it's the last few shots before the credits, but it's a brilliant shot. So what we're currently looking at the admin building, we're now going to be looking the complete opposite way. And so basically the camera fades in, the two girls walk into frame, and you see a stone path behind them, and the trees that you just saw, all nicely shaped. And the camera pans up and reveals where the cameras and everything were beforehand, looking back the other way. And there you see on the left the corner of the patio, and what you see there is what we're going to see in the next film, Mary Poppins Returns. So let's load Mary Poppins Returns, shall we? Right, so we've got Mary Poppins Returns in the machine now. So the first timer code you need to go to is 2 minutes 50. So basically this sequence is the gravel pathways we've just seen in at the end of Hellbound. So that'd be quite a mix of movies, wouldn't it, if you mixed James Bond, Mary Poppins Returns and Hellbound together, all sort of shooting in roughly the same vicinity. So if we play it on, watch the gentleman, I guess he's the lamplighter, isn't he, riding his bike. We've just seen that in the distance, that pathway in that circle, and these will just be the same pathways shot from different angles, just to look like he's on a big journey. And then it pans up through the trees, and they've put a bit of CGI to put a building there that isn't there, basically. So next time code to go to is 14 minutes and 42 seconds. So obviously you can watch these in slow motion maybe, and or just pause every now and again to get a really good look at what there is to see. So if the time codes I'm giving you are not quite correct because you're watching on DVD, that is unfortunately just to do with the fact on DVD there are 25 frames per second, and on Blu-ray there's 24 frames per second. So if you've ever looked at the back of a DVD and a Blu-ray of the same movie and seen that the Blu-ray is longer and think, well, hang on, there's no extra scenes in this, it's because there aren't extra scenes, but there's extra frames. So if you think about it, 25 frames per second means you've got to get more frames per second, so it's got to run quicker than 24 frames per second. So the longer the film, the longer the runtime will be compared to the DVD. But hopefully I've described it enough that you can sort of watch the scene and see where the film cuts between scenes. And so anyway, yes, so 14 minutes 42, and essentially this is a pan down, and you can see houses of London, but they are not there, because I think what we are looking at is towards the admin building that we've just seen in Hellbound. Let's get all my things off screen because right, so yes, that's another way of, you know, using grounds and things at different angles and superimposing a completely different landscape behind trees and things. It's very nicely done, but as the camera pans down, if you let it play, it's still within the grounds of Pinewood Studios. And so this has clearly been dressed differently to add things in. That little bandstand maybe isn't usually there, but a lot of the bushes and you know, the benches will be added. So yes, this has definitely been dressed to look like somewhere different. But what's going to happen now is the child in blue is going to get sort of whisked away by okay, that's another scene. So they're still walking through, so we now have to go to 20 minutes and 6 seconds. Obviously if you want, you can just carry on watching the film, and then when you look at your counter and it gets 20 minutes and 6 seconds, basically when you're back outside into that sort of garden area, then you'll know that you're at the next scene to take note. You don't have to do it the way I'm doing it. I'm just giving you time codes and reference points, and hopefully a bit of insight as to where within the grounds of Pinewood Studios you currently are. Okay, so this fountain is real. It's definitely at Pinewood Studios, and I think if I show you this, I've got another version of the map I found on the back of this program. So the 70th anniversary program that we had, as I said in the little flyover video, the celebrations that were over, I'm not sure if it was a weekend or just one day, but on the back is a much more detailed map. So if I quickly run through where we've been so far as a recap. So we came in here at the Double Lodge, and then we saw the ambulance outside here in the Eastside Complex, or the Peter Rogers building. So I used to work the back here, and I was looking over that direction from a window just here, and that's when I could see the cars that were from My Week with Marilyn. And then with My Week with Marilyn, the first building we went into, as I said, the what were they, the production offices, was this building here. And you know, I said in the background out through the window you could see D stage. Well, there it is. We were looking across that car park to D stage, and then basically these were the green buildings, and obviously B stage. So you got A, B and C stage and D stage. So B stage, this is where they were for where we saw Emma Watson's character, and they were in one of these buildings here as a wardrobe basically. What else have we done? So now of course we're in the gardens. So as I said, where we saw that silver car, it was parked around there, and we turned left and we've got into this car park. There's the Warner Brothers building, and then we can either go through this gate here and out to the back. These are the Hitchcock rooms where I had my drum clinic, and then these are the gardens we've been exploring. This area here was where the Harry Potter set was, like I said, the church spire. So I came into work and I turned into that road, and over there, because obviously there's lots of trees here, I could see the Harry Potter set. So for Hellbound, we've just been looking down this path here at the admin block here. So first we were looking that way, and Dr. Chenard was walking this way and up round there, and then the final shot was looking back this way, and of course you could see these paths here. So now what we're looking at is the same area, and some of these other paths, and this is the little bridge that Sean Connery walked over and that we're about to see again. So if you press play again, if you hadn't paused it already, she's chasing the dog, which is chasing the kite, and yeah, so this whole sequence is in those gardens we were just looking at. So if you can sit and watch, but what I'm going to do is go to the next time code, which is basically 21 minutes exactly, and what we'll see is Mary Poppins returning. and you'll recognise straight away the bridge that she lands in front of. Oh, actually, so this shot, so 21 minutes exactly. If you've got, when you pause it and you have the little box come up, the blue box come up on screen, if you want to get rid of it, press down and it should disappear. So if you pause the screen, you got the bridge on the right, the boy, get my left and right wrong, the bridge on the left and the boy on the right with the kite. And behind him, looking up the path in the background, that would be towards the paddock tank, which is obviously where we're slowly making our way towards. Again, this is the bridge where I kissed my wife on our third date. And there are a couple of plaques on the end, which would have been removed for the purpose of this movie. Not that you can really see them, but I imagine they were removed. And they just mention what has been filmed there before and who's been kissing who and whatnot on there. So anyway, yes, let's carry on. So I think we can let this scene play out, basically, because he's struggling with the kite, and all of a sudden Mary Poppins appears just before he takes off. Great, he catches him. So there's some great shots of the grounds, and you know, they haven't dressed them as much as you might think. So practically what you're seeing on screen is what you would see if you were walking around the gardens today. Unless they have a set on there, I don't know. Like I said, I don't work there anymore, but here she comes. So the bridge, as we saw, has already been used in From Russia with Love, but it's also in Chitty Chitty Bang Bang. And you may have seen that one of the movies I said to get was Cinderella. Now, essentially, that's null and void, because we've now seen what I was going to show you in Cinderella. But it doesn't matter. If you don't have Mary Poppins Returns, and you're getting rather confused at what you're supposed to be looking at here because you don't have it, we'll go to Cinderella next, and I'll give you a time code for the same bridge and the same sort of area that I'm looking at now. So I think there was a whole host of other movies. Incidentally, while I remember, the back of the mansion that was used from in Russia, With Russia with Love, is also where they built the set for Carry On Up the Khyber, obviously one of the famous Carry On films, and it's the British Embassy, so to speak, and they have a big battle scene. So that if you've got that, if you've got Carry On Up the Khyber and you don't have From Russia with Love, take a look at the film. When you come across sort of the white building, and it's supposed to be the British Embassy, and they have a big sort of shooting scene, that is the back of the mansion in the gardens of Pinewood Studios. Okay, so now if I get my map out again, so we've now basically finished in here, and we're heading up towards the paddock tank here, but first we're going to go to this little bit here that says street set. So if you've got the film The Bank Job, get that in your player and we'll have a look at the street set, shall we?